Hey everybody, it's Ohan here. It's Friday, and this week's topic is transitioning before and after hormones. To be completely honest, I don't know if I understand the topic, and I don't know if I'm going to be talking about what we're supposed to be talking about. I guess what confuses me is that I don't foresee myself ever not being on hormones, and therefore I don't really know what after means. Maybe it means just after starting them, but not like after them altogether. Maybe that's what it means. Now I'm thinking out loud. As far as transitioning before hormones, I don't have that much experience doing that. I made a decision to start hormones long before I started them, if that makes sense. It was the summer going into my last year of university, and I kind of made the decision that summer that, okay, something I need to do in my future is transition and start hormones. I don't know when that's going to be. And I made the decision that I didn't want to do that while I was still in school. I'm sure it would have been possible. I'm sure I could have had certain conversations with certain people, and if that's something I wanted to do, it felt like way too much of a mental challenge or burden that I didn't want to deal with. I just wanted to get the fuck out. Really, not I was not super happy where I was. Like, there were three people at my school that I really felt like I would have lasting relationships with, and so to go through the whole process with people that I wasn't gonna see in a few months, I was just like, why am I gonna do this? Like, I don't feel a need to do this right now, and I think a part of it too is I just make decisions really slowly, and I kind of wanted to give myself some extra time, even though I knew it was something I was gonna do. I need to sit with things over a long time. That's just how I am. That's just how I make choices, and so I guess that was like the time that I could have then to think about things. So in terms of transitioning before hormones, the most that I did, I mean, I told my parents, I told close friends. It was a very immediate circle around me, like the first ring of people around me. Some of my friends used they them pronouns, some of them didn't. It was really slow for me, and I didn't feel like I could feel where's this sentence going? I didn't think I could feel male without hormones. And I don't know how that sounds to other people. Like, maybe that makes some people upset, and I get why it does, because I know people, A, don't have to be on hormones to be trans, and B, are trans and don't have access to hormones, and therefore you can be a man without hormones. It was more of just an internal feeling. I couldn't feel that way without accessing hormones. And so I guess that's how you decide that you're going to be on them. I don't even know if I felt male before hormones. It was more of like I felt like I was supposed to be, and I felt like I needed to be, but I didn't feel like I was. And of course I didn't, because I wasn't validated in that way ever. I mean, my parents were not totally on board with pronouns. Only a very few people used gender neutral pronouns. I was in school, not out to the majority of the people I was around. So of course I didn't feel like, just a dude walking around. Like, why would I, when I was getting manned every 5 seconds? I just feel like I have to prove something, because people are gonna be like, you're not trans if you didn't feel male before. It's like, no, I didn't feel male before. I felt like I needed to be, and that's why I needed to access hormones. I don't know. A lot of my decisions were made based on what didn't make me comfortable, and not necessarily what did make me comfortable. In other words, I knew that I didn't like walking into women's bathrooms. I knew that I didn't like being called a woman. I knew that I didn't like being referred to with she, her pronouns. I knew that I didn't like people assuming I was either straight or gay. I knew that I didn't like being called miss or ma'am at a store. All those things I knew did not feel good. But I had never experienced being on the other side. I think there are very few times where people gendered me as male, and if they did, it was like they immediately corrected themselves as soon as I spoke or something. So it was never like I got to have that experience without hormones. So I was going into it like, well, I hope this works. Like, and it sounds so careless, but I mean, it was very thought out. It was very calculated and it was very deliberate, and I arrived there very slowly. I was kind of just like hoping for the best, like, hope this works, hope I don't feel like shit anymore. I was actually really sad the day that I started hormones. I did not have like a super happy day. I was like, I don't know, it's just like flooded with a lot of emotions. It was like very emotional for me. I was crying. Um, it wasn't that I didn't want to start them, but it was just like I was carrying a lot of grief, and it made me sad. And I don't, I guess I'm kind of beyond the point where I feel like I need to prove that I'm trans, because I'm on a channel called FTM Transtastic. So if you don't believe that I'm trans, then just, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, what can I say that's gonna make you believe me? But I just, it was just it was a difficult step for me. Change is always difficult for me, even if it's change that I want and have wanted for a very long time. It doesn't mean that making that change is super easy and is immediately gratifying. Transitioning after hormones, this is such a long video, my god. Okay, yeah, I'll try to be quick. I did most of my transitioning after starting hormones. I didn't even change my name until, I don't know, like 6, 7 months into transitioning, maybe even more. I was really slow to kind of accept he him pronouns. I knew it was something that I wanted to be called eventually, but when I just started hormones, like, I just preferred they them. I just didn't want questions from people, really. And like, I felt like if people called me she, there were questions, and if people called me he, there were questions, and if someone was just like this person, it's just like, think whatever you want and don't talk to me. They them is a valid pronoun to use forever. It's not just a bridge, and it's not just a pronoun to refer to anybody you like. There are people who prefer this pronoun always, and live within that identity always. But it can also be used to slowly make your way to something else, like a placeholder. And if that works for you, I don't think that's an insult. I think that's just something that works for you. And at the time, it felt very fitting. So I didn't feel like I was 100% male. I didn't feel like I was being referred to as male ever. What else did I do after? Well, I had surgery after hormones. Part of that was because I wanted to see what hormones would do to my chest. Maybe it would make it smaller so that I could have peri as an option or keyhole as an option. So I didn't have that big of a chest, but for some people it just doesn't do anything. And I noticed, if anything, it just made me feel like it was bigger because I had developed muscle. So it was this like extra thing, including tissue. It was like tissue and muscle, or before it was just tissue, and it kind of made me feel like worse about it. I was just like, I feel like it's bigger. And as far as the tissue is concerned, it didn't really do anything. Maybe I had to be on hormones longer, but I just couldn't wait anymore. I was in too much pain, so I got surgery about 9 months on hormones. Now I just feel like it's a big waiting phase for me. I'm waiting for things to happen with hormones. I'm waiting for things to happen with healing from surgery. I'm waiting for my legal name change. I'm waiting to be able to be this person without questions. I'm waiting to be able to not have to worry about background checks or employers finding out things. Like, I want to be the one deciding if I have to disclose my trans identity or not. Like, I don't want it to have to be a necessity. Like, at my current job, it was a necessity because this was happening while these people were seeing me, so I kind of had to say something. But I look forward to a situation where I can disclose it if I want, and if I don't want to, I don't have to. That's a nice, that's a very, I guess, privileged position to be in, is being in charge of who you disclose things to or not, because it's not always an option for some people, especially if you're not on hormones yet. So that brings me back full circle. Okay, here's the thing. This is the longest video ever. This is the thing. Hormones, in my experience, don't make you automatically happy and comfortable in your body. You still have to do a lot of work. So if somebody could be not happy with their body on hormones, I feel like the reverse is true, is that somebody could be happy with their body not on hormones. In other words, you might need hormones as part of your transition, but you don't need them to feel okay with yourself. Some people do. Like, some people just straight up need hormones to not want to crawl out of their skin on a day-to-day basis. But it's not a necessity, and this is like the whole trans enough thing, the whole male enough thing. Like, I just find it ironic when people within the community shame other people for the steps of their transition or lack of steps in their transition. It's like, yeah, remember when somebody told you who you were and you didn't agree? Like, you remember how that felt and it didn't feel good, so why are you doing that to somebody else? Being okay with yourself, unfortunately, is more than just hormones and surgery. They are undeniably big steps that can help you get there. And I don't think I would be able to get to that place without them, which is why I am doing / did both of them, meaning hormones and surgery. But there's still a ways to go, and you have to learn, like, learning to be okay with yourself is a skill that that nobody can do for you. Like, it's something has to be activated in you to want to feel differently and to want to be okay. Just give yourself the time you need, and if it's not that much time, cool. And if it is, then just fine. You just gotta live with yourself until you can figure it all out. And I know it's not easy, and I know some days you want to literally just curl up and cease existing. But I guess you and I both have to believe that there's gonna be a day where things just make sense. I really hope so. So please hang in there with me, whether you're before or after hormones, before, during, after, I don't know, whatever. Just being the most redundant person ever right now. So I'm gonna go. If you have questions about hormones, you can ask me on my Tumblr, and which I will put down below. And I'll see you next time. Hopefully I will understand the topic better. Okay, have a great weekend and week. Bye.